Kristen Wells, and this is my community advocacy speech titled Project Green. Have you ever thought about what happens to your trash after you put it in the trash can? Most of the time it ends up in a landfill. This past year, the Environmental Protection Agency stated that Americans create 251 million tons of trash each year, and 164 million tons of that ends up in a landfill. This is a huge problem that could be easily prevented if everyone contributed. We as a community can lessen the amount of trash that wastes in our city limits if we just simply recycled some of our most commonly used materials. In the past few years, I have had a lot of experience with recycling through establishing a recycling program at the Boys and Girls Club, which I talk about today, as well as being a part of my Student Council Recycling Committee. First, I will talk about the importance of recycling, and then about the harms of waste, as well as barriers that keep people in the community from recycling. Second, I will produce a solution that is easy, practical, and inexpensive that will be a solution to this problem. So, first, we must ask, why should you care about recycling in the first place? Recycling is extremely important, not only because it improves the environment in which we live in, but it also contributes to our health. If we had a bunch of waste polluting our land, streets, and water, it would begin to harm our plants, animals, and even people. This is a problem that is growing faster and bigger over time, which means that there needs to be something done. Salah Hassan stated last year in his article, The Importance of Recycling in Solid Waste Management, that the United Nations have begun to address this issue by making an action plan that will establish recycling programs throughout nations that are developing and developed countries. This shows the degree of importance of this issue because even the United Nations is concerned with recycling. So, now we must ask, what happens if we do not take action? If we do not take action and start recycling even more than we already are, there will be masses of waste accumulation within our cities. Not only this, but there will be an increase in the amount of toxic contamination that happens within our cities. The Toxics Action Center stated that the average American produces twice the amount of trash per day than we did 50 years ago, as stated in their article, The Problems with Waste. In addition, they stated in 2012 that although Americans are home to only 4% of the global population, we are responsible for more than 30% of the planet's total waste generation. These toxic substances are polluting our environment and even our water resources. These substances come from things such as batteries, aerosols, and household cleaners, which we do not recycle and we throw in the trash instead. These are all extremely harmful to our health and the environment, and if we increase recycling, we can decrease the amount of contamination of our resources. This graph to my right shows the increase in per capita of the population in orange, and then in blue shows the increase in the amount of waste, which has increased a lot faster than the increase in the population. So, even though recycling is an extremely beneficial thing that everyone can partake in, there are some obstacles that get in the way of making it an extremely successful habit. There are big barriers that prevent people from recycling, such as cost, lack of technology and equipment, as well as a lack of cooperation from the community. First, we must have equipment and infrastructure to implement a recycling center in a community. A recycling center needs to be able to take recycled materials and turn them into products that can be used. In addition, they need to have recycling trucks that will pick up the recycling throughout the city. Second, even though recycling can save money in the long run by reducing the cost of waste, it can be an extremely difficult system to implement if there is not already a recycling center in a city. However, many cities within the nation already have recycling centers established. Lastly, none of the above would be able to be possible if there wasn't cooperation from the community. PR Newswire stated this past year that in April of this past year that the main hindrance to recycling within the community is the lack of bins. They state that nearly 3/4 of consumers consistently recycle in the home, but the main barrier to recycling even more is the lack of bins in other places in their house. This is an extremely reoccurring problem that is happening everywhere that is easily fixed. So now we must ask, what is a tangible solution that can solve the lack of recycling within a community? The way to resolve the additional recycling in the community is to establish more recycling programs. There are so many establishments that do not recycle, but there are extremely practical ways to establish recycling programs. I began a recycling program for the Boys and Girls Club of Frisco for a Girl Scout project I finished in high school. I used practical steps to make the recycling program successful for that facility. To my right, you see me in a picture with Brenda Austin, who is the head coordinator of the Boys and Girls Club, and she stated that she wanted a recycle program that would be practical for the kids, not only to help them understand the importance of recycling, but also to help them learn responsibility at the same time. I designed this program to be easy for them to implement as kids on their own with just a little bit of adult supervision. In addition, I made a book that would help them with this process. It has step-by-step processes on how they should recycle each week, as well as diagrams on where the recycling bin should go in the classrooms and how to take the trash out every week. In addition to this program being practical, I also needed to make it inexpensive. The Boys and Girls Club is a nonprofit organization that has no additional funds for things like recycling programs. Other places, such as restaurants and other facilities, may have funds for this program, but the Boys and Girls Club did not have funding for a recycling program. In order to make this program inexpensive, I had to do some fundraising to buy some needed products for this project. I needed to buy some small bins as well as labels that would be put in the classroom so that the students would know what to recycle. All in all, my project only cost $100 for it to implement, and this is partially due because I was in contact with Mr. Robert Medigovich in this picture. He is the Community Waste Disposal Municipal Coordinator, and I negotiated with him and convinced him to get this recycling bins as well as the weekly fee to be waived for the Boys and Girls Club. Without his help and cooperation, this project would not have been near as successful or as cheap as it was. Lastly, a recycling program needs to be easy to implement and maintain. I chose to put the rolling bins in place just like the ones that are done at residential homes. This idea was suggested to me from Jeremy Starrett, who is the City of Frisco Environmental Services Manager. He stated that these bins are cheaper than a big dumpster outside and would be easier for the children to use. All in all, my recycling program was only successful because I had the help of my community. You too can do something to contribute to your community and help in a big way. Even though a recycling program can be difficult to implement, it does great things for the environment. We need to lessen the amount of trash that goes into our landfills, and recycling is an easy way to do this. I encourage you to recycle within your own communities and possibly even create a recycling program on your own. Thank you.